What's up? Happy Wednesday, Give and Grow. Today is August 24th, 2022. Eric and Ryan coming at you, and today we are going to talk about retirement accounts again. But first, let me ask you this. Ryan, how was your trip in Nashville?
It was good. Good. Got to see some historical sites and did some shopping, but more importantly, just got to spend time with my wife for our anniversary. And it was a really good, relaxing trip. Just being away from just getting out of the house and getting down there and just having a good time. It's always great. So
I bet. Was it nice not to invest for a couple of days?
well, I mean, I invested on Friday, so
okay, you're still in it.
Yeah, I was.
He can't get away from it. But yeah, so like I said, today we wanted to give an overview on retirement accounts again. We did this earlier. I probably get the most questions just from people I work with, friends, just mostly wondering about retirement accounts and how to get their accounts optimal. So I figured we'd do another video, and we'll probably continue to do these quarterly just to give an overview and just kind of review everything. So the first big rule when we talk about retirement accounts, what we think about is taking the match. So let's say you put in 5% into your 401k, and let's just say that's $250 a month. Well, let's say your company matches at 5%. Well, that's a whole nother $250 that's going in. So that's $500 for the month. So that basically doubles what you're putting in, and that's awesome. When you think about compounding interest, if you're getting that 10% yearly annual gain, that money's going to double every 7 years. So that is super powerful and gets me excited. Another thing I hear a lot of people say, it seems like people are kind of confused about this, but they say, well, Eric, I put in the limit, which is the 5% match. And well, the thing is that's not a limit. You can actually go past 5%, but what the company is saying is they match up to 5%, but you can put in 10%, 15%. I want to say the yearly amount you can put in is between 18 to 20K, I think.
Yeah.
Is that about right, Ryan?
Yeah.
It's been a while.
I think it's like 19 to it's somewhere around that.
Yeah, somewhere around that number. But yeah, so the first thing we tell people, take the match. It's free money. Probably one of the most important foundations for a good 401k. So the second thing we talked about in our first video is the different kind of accounts that you can invest in. And to Ryan and I, the most powerful one, if your company offers it, is the Roth 401k. Now this account is awesome because it allows your money to grow tax-free versus a traditional account where you'll be taxed on later on in life. Personally, I'd rather just take the taxes now while I'm young and just get it over with. I'm all about routine and system. And when it comes to the Roth, that just really fits into my style of investing. And I think, in my opinion, it's the most efficient. I've heard arguments both ways, but for right now, I continue to say that the Roth 401k is probably the most powerful investing tool when it comes to retirement accounts at your work. Would you agree with that, Ryan? What do you think?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Basically, you get taxed immediately, but towards whenever you're ready to retire, when you take that money out, since it's already been taxed, you're not going to be taxed on it again. So you do have a little bit less control over to the exact T what everything is being invested in, but more than likely, your company will have it set up to where you can choose a certain percentage, like, and be like 50% stocks or 50% bonds or 100% stocks. So it's whatever you want to have. But yeah, Roth 401k. Also too, with the Roth 401k is that in comparison to the Roth IRA, you get to have the maximum contribution of that, like 19 to like 20K, whereas a Roth IRA, like a regular one, you can only contribute 6K to it. So every single year. So
yeah, and I was gonna say, after the Roth 401k, if you've already maxed that out, congrats, you're doing awesome.
Oh my gosh,
but if you wanted another one to max out, you could do the Roth IRA, and that, like Ryan was saying, you can do $500 a month, which would be 6K a year. And same thing, you can do this through Fidelity, Vanguard. We really like Fidelity. I like VTI, I like VOO, and VTI is just a total stock market index. You're just going to have a wide range of investments, probably weighed more heavily in the top companies like, the Apples, Berkshire, the Teslas of the world, Google, Amazon, stuff like that. Same with VOO. It's just the S&P 500, so the top 500 companies in America. I think the largest holding is definitely Apple. Because some people, they don't like picking out the single stocks, which is known to be a little more risky. But this kind of takes the risk away. You just kind of set it and forget it, and you're gonna get that consistent, on average, 10% return, and that's happened since the Great Depression. That's happened through the Great Recession. That's happened through the .com bubble. So really, it's just one of those things. You just set it and forget it. And when it comes to people who love systems, like me, love routine, this is just a great option. So I personally do a Roth 401k. I don't max it out. I do 10%. My company matches like 2%. And I also do a Roth IRA as well. Another thing that people kind of get confused about is the allocation. We see 50% allocated in the stocks, 50% allocated into bonds. And if stuff like that confuses you, please reach out to us. We would love to help you with that and just explain that better. Personally, if you're young, like in your 30s, I would recommend going 100% into stocks. And this is not financial advice. This is just my personal opinion. But I think it's a good idea. But if you just aren't big on risks, and just, do maybe 70% into stocks, maybe 30% into bonds. And I know it can be intimidating because you can go into like your work's 401k and has all these different options, has target date funds. Those are very popular. Basically, every 5 to 10 years, they increase your allocation into more bonds and they lower your stocks because they don't want you to be as volatile as you get closer to retirement. Personally, the lowest I would go is 30% into bonds. I like 70% stocks for people that are about 5 years away. Warren Buffett said if he had to set it up for his family, and he knew that he couldn't do it himself, he would have his family 90% into stocks and 10% in the bonds, and he would just set it and forget it. He's one of the wealthiest men in the world. He's also a very smart guy. So if he's doing that system and recommends it, I think we'd be okay doing it too.
Oh yeah.
But really, it's just about what you prefer. And Ryan was kind of talking about that. He wanted to talk about the reasons we invest and how everybody kind of has their own reasons and philosophy. So Ryan's going to kind of get into that a little bit.
Yeah. So one of the biggest things that I wanted to bring up in this episode is, before you even start investing, you have to understand what kind of what you want in life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because us saying, oh well, you have to do this, like, if you don't want to do it, you don't have to, but as far as whatever direction you want to go, specifically towards the route of being wealthy by the time you retire, it takes a certain kind of discipline and dedication to make sure, because making money takes time. There's a lot of successful people out there that can make a lot of money very, very quickly, but the risk is very high. So if you know what you're doing, then that can be a very successful thing. But I would say for the majority of us, you want to be able to know that by a certain time you can just be done working, and you can have money, and you can use the rest of your time with your family and your friends and doing whatever you want to do. So I'm a big fan of taking the time that I have right now and making those sacrifices now, so that later on things will be okay for me and my family down the road. One of the biggest ones for me is living below your means.
Yes, absolutely.
Because there's nothing to me that's more stressful when it comes to finances, when you're living paycheck to paycheck. And I know that that's like a lot of people out there, but sometimes you know, I mean, there's times where like people probably, you know, they have no choice, right? But you know, there are times where there are a lot of people that, you know, they live paycheck, you know, paycheck to paycheck because of their lifestyle. They might be spending money on things that they necessarily don't need, or they might, you know, they don't have a budget. And you know, we're actually going to be getting into a budget series pretty soon.
I'm pumped for it.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one too. But you know, just taking that, you know, that one thing, you know, living below your means, like you're gonna save so much money. And you know, without going too much into it, really, it's like just cutting out things that you probably just don't need in your life. At least not in the, you know, in that moment, and that can be saved for, you know, another time. It's like, is the, you know, is the potential debt that you'll be getting into to get some of these things, is it worth it? Or you know, would you rather, you know, kind of take the option of maybe just downscaling and getting ahead now and then investing to allow those dollars to work for you over time, and then later on in the future you'll have the money to be able to spend on the things that you thought you wanted in the moment.
Delayed gratification.
Right.
You know, you bring up a great point with all that. A way I think about it is, how will 35-year-old Eric, you know, look back at my decisions? You know, will he be thanking me? How will 40-year-old Eric look back? You know, 50-year-old Eric. And you know, I want those versions of myself to be thankful for the decisions that I made today. And I know you feel the same way about that. And you know, before we end today's video, I always like to throw out some numbers. We've said this before, I put it on Facebook a lot, but if you're 25 and you start investing $250 a month into your retirement account, and you do 100% into like VTI or VOO, and you get the average 10% return, you know, you're probably going to have about 1.3 million in 40 years. So from 25 to 65, you're going to be a millionaire just by doing $250 a month. And that just
Right.
shows the power of compound interest. We talk about it all the time. You know, if you're in your 30s, I'd recommend doing at least 500 a month if you can afford it. And we're going to do a whole budgeting series and talk about ways to squeeze out more money from your paycheck, decreasing silly spending, and just really getting the most out of your money. Because like Ryan loves to say, every dollar counts. And that's just super important to have that mindset.
Yeah.
Lastly, you might say, well, Eric, I'm 50 years old. I've got like 5K invested. You know, is it too late for me? And the answer is no, it's never too late. You know, I was just running the numbers on my compound interest calculator. If you invest $250 a month from 50 to 65 into VTO, VTI, and get that 10% return, you're still going to have over 100K by the time you retire. And I know we act like $1 million is, you know, the standard, but it's really not. Not everybody's going to need $1 million. Like, imagine having 100K. I mean, I don't have 100K right now. I'd love to have 100K. That's a lot of money. You can still do a lot of stuff with that. There's still more advanced ways to invest. You know, Ryan and I have learned new ways that have really got us excited, and we can't wait to share with y'all the power of different kinds of active investing. You know, it won't be for everybody, but for some people it can be awesome. And you can still take that 50K or that 100K and still make a big difference for the rest of your life. So that's the big thing here. The big theme is just get started, understand the power of compound interest. You know, when I make $50 or $100 in a week, you know, people probably kind of laugh at it, but you know, in my head, I just add a zero, because if I can consistently make 50 to 100 a week, I know 5-10 years down the road, I can consistently make 500 to 1,000 one day. Right. And you know, that's powerful.
Oh yeah.
But either way, I think that's going to wrap up this retirement video. I will ask Ryan, if you could pick an allocation amount, and I've kind of gone over that, but you could also pick a percentage. What would you recommend for people who just want to retire with financial freedom, or just feel good going into retirement? What are some good numbers for you? And just in your, I know I shared 100%. I'm probably going to stick with 100, maybe 90-10. The worst, I'd do 70-30 for allocation. But what would be your percentage? What would you recommend?
Yeah. It depends on, you know, really on your age. You know, when you're young, you know,
let's say someone who's like 30 years old.
I'd probably still say 100% stocks. I'm actually turning 30 this year, and I'm probably gonna. I mean, well, since I've already started it all in stocks, I'm probably just going to continue to do it. But
What percentage would you recommend going into your 401k? We say
oh,
401k, but I know if you're nonprofit or hospital, you might have a 403b.
right.
But yeah, what would be your percentage you probably put in?
Like percentage of my check.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, so I would always do the match.
Yep, like we said, always take the match.
Yeah, it's like, it's like what I believe that Dave Ramsey said this, but it was a match beats Roth beats traditional.
Yeah.
So it's like if you follow that, because right now, I'm only doing the match for my company.
Yeah.
And then I have I've already maxed out our Roths for this year. So then now it's like, I'm right now I'm saving up more money to max out the Roths next year.
And you by Roth, you mean your Roth IRA?
Yeah. Sorry, Roth IRA.
Yep.
So I got a Roth 401k. I contribute 6% in there right now because that's my company's match.
That's what your company matches. Okay, awesome.
And then I've already maxed out my Roth, and then I'm trying to save up to max out my Roth IRA again next year. And then once I have that money, I'm probably going to I could technically increase the amount of money that I get taken out of my check to put into my Roth 401k.
Uh-huh.
But we're trying to save it for a house, so I'm actually putting money away for the house. So
awesome.
There's that's one thing too, and this will be the last thing I'll say is that when you have a good mindset about like saving money and like budgeting, your options just open up like crazy.
Yeah, you're right.
You start to see things that, or you start to see the plans that you thought that you were never going to be able to do, and you're like actually getting closer and closer to those goals. It takes understanding, the whole delayed gratification thing. I think is a big one, but also that every single dollar that you get from your company, like, is it working for you or is it working for someone else? So that's why, like, I try to stay out of debt as much as I can. I know it's not going to be a feasible thing forever unless I just get lucky, but if I can control staying out of debt, that's what we're gonna do.
Right.
And like, the money that you make, you get to choose where that goes, and it's not going towards like a bank, or it's not going towards, just stuff like that,
credit cards.
Yeah, credit cards, which, by the way, I'm actually a fan of credit cards. If you get good points, we actually have.
Yeah, we'll have to do a series on that, but don't just go out and get a credit card.
Yeah. That
there are ways to leverage a credit card,
yes,
but that's not for everybody. You have to be very, very disciplined to do that.
Yeah, that takes a certain amount of discipline that you shouldn't even touch credit cards until you get the budgeting thing.
Yeah,
right, and the investing part. So
yeah, and that's what's coming next
have
week.
Like a whole package thing, just be like investing plus budgeting plus leveraging debt. Yeah. That's it. That's all you got to do.
Let's do it.
It's a lot. So
yes, sir. And I'll end by saying this. For my Roth 401k, I put in 10%. I get a 2% match. But I do the auto increase. So every year it automatically increases 1%. And right now I have it set to go up to 15%. So every year it's going to go up to 1. It's going to go up 1%. So this year it's 10. Next year will be 11. The next year will be 12 and 13, 14, so on. And I really won't probably notice because 1% is not. I'll notice for sure, but it's not a major. But that's something simple, and that's something I recommend. But I tell people, if you're in your 30s, try your hardest to get up to at least 15% and take that match.
Right.
But yeah, so that's going to kind of do it for today. Listen, people have been reaching out. I've been helping people with 401ks lately. If you have any questions, please reach out to us on social media. Leave a comment, leave your number. We would love to help you. That's what this community is all about. We love you. We're super excited about what's about to happen going forward. Like we've been saying, we're going to do the budgeting. We've got a lot of stuff coming over the next couple of months. Enjoy these last couple of weeks. Get ready for the fall. And as always, let's continue to give and grow.
All right, see you.